Hello everyone, I'm Pacific the Casual Gamer, and welcome back to another episode of Filming Video Games. And in this time, I'm just going to straight up tell you guys, I'm going to tell you what the blur is good for, because the blur is a very powerful tool, a very interesting tool that is meant to be paired with other tools. Let's just say that. But let's get right into it. What is a blur? It makes your screen not focused, alright? I'll show you guys in this little Sony Vase clip. I'll blur up the screen and I'll show you guys what it looks like blurred. You know, you can see it. It's kind of just can't really see what the heck is going on. Now, why would I blur the screen? All right, that's a good question that you would come up with. Why would I blur the screen? Well, let's just say you have a game clip, and let's just say you shoot someone and you turn to your left and turn right and shoot someone. Well, let's just say you got two kinds of blurs. You got the super blur where you got nothing going on, or the kind of fade in, fade out blur where you just kind of don't know, you know, it kind of gets blurry and then doesn't. Well, if you look left and right, you can just blur the screen and just do some special effect. You don't know what's going on, all of a sudden the gameplay is gone and it's blurry, and then it goes back in and all of a sudden you kill someone. Or, when you start looking left, it gets really kind of blurry, but you're still looking around. You can see that the character's looking around. You recognize the map. You just don't know if there's any enemies. Then it unblurs to you killing that last enemy. Those are really cool. They're awesome for transitions. You can figure out how to use that in strategy games, right? Strategy games, action games, even puzzle games, okay? This blur is awesome, all right? Really awesome. It can be used to enhance crossover transitions. Let's just say a crossover transition is where the first clip starts fading out and the next clip starts fading in. If you add a blur to that, it looks even better. It looks so fancy, dude. It is fancy. Now, sometimes you don't need to do this all the time. It's a lot of work. Save it for your montages. Save it for your cinematic game shots. But that blur can be used as awesome enhancing of the transition. That's what the blur, really, if you could summarize the blur in one sentence, it is an enhancing tool for transitions. It can be used on its own. It's better to enhance stuff. Like simply fading out to black. You know, you can fade something out to black, but you can fade it and also blur it, as instead of just fading it, you're going unconscious. What if you're playing a video game and you die, but it's one of those games where you stay in first person and fall down? It's much cooler if you kind of blur everything out like you're going unconscious, rather than just fading to black and watching your character just lay there looking at stuff. It's a pretty awesome tool. I also like to use this tool in games where there's stuff on the side, like first-person shooters, you know, you got ammo counters, even action games. You sometimes got like the coin counters, the point counters. Strategy games, you got all sorts of different character icons, you know, your hotkeys, all that stuff. Blur out the sides of your screen. You know, make like an oval and just blur out the corners, because that's usually where stuff is, the corners, maybe the top and bottom. Blur out that stuff. That way, it's not as distracting. It's still going to be there, but it's not as distracting. And if you really, your gameplay doesn't look good by putting like black bars on the top and the bottom, the blur is a good alternative if those black bars don't work. You can also use a blur if there's something going on in your game. You know, of course, there's the censoring of the nudity and all that. We all know how that works. But if there's like something going on and it just looks ugly, but it's part of the game, it's legit, you can just blur it a little bit, all right? That's a more complicated technique that I might have to get into, moving around the blur. That's one that's a video all on its own. Moving around the blur is very hard to do, but you can move around the blur. You know, maybe there's just some gunshots going off to the side, or you want the person to focus on what's going on the right side of the screen rather than the left side. The blur is amazing to keep where you want the person to look sharp. Where you don't want them to look, blur it out. It plays on psychology. It takes time to look at something detailed, right? Because you gotta look at all the details. Well, if all the stuff, let's just say a random room that I don't want you looking in because it's boring, if I blur that out, you can just look, be like, it's a blob. But then you look at the person I'm shooting, it's like, oh my god, they have this gun with this attachment, you know. Or even in strategy games, you don't want people to focus on the bottom of your screen, what's going on. You can blur that out just a little bit so they can't even read it. All right? That's an awesome tool. Focus your viewers' attention on the blur. Like I said, it is an enhancement of transitions. It is also an enhancement of making sure the person is actually looking in your cinematic gameplay if they're actually looking where they're supposed to. So that's it for this video on using the blur for cinematic gameplay. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, you can tell me in the comments below. Subscribe if you're new, because I'm Pacific the Casual Gamer. I suck just as bad as you do at video games. And I will see you in the next episode, stream, or vlog of whatever I decide to make.